161 288 0103.
Hello, boys. Oh, God's truth. Hello, boys and girls. Sorry, that wasn't intended to happen at all. It's had all night to do that, and it does it now. Never mind. Hello. It's Monday evening on Key 103, and it's gorgeous. So, what better way to relax and while away this slightly clammy few hours of twilight, to be fair, than listening to Key 103 and satisfying the mind as well as the body with James H. Reeve. And you can do the first bit just by joining in on the wireless. There we are. Isn't this nice new approach I'm bringing to you? So we can turn our back, we can put behind us all our travails, whether it be ill-advised military ventures or crap football teams. We can forget all about that tonight and immerse ourselves in an orgy of self-improvement. That's what it is on a Monday evening. 0161 288 0103 is the number, and it puts you in touch with, and I've been thinking of this most of the afternoon actually, a matrix. I think it's a very appropriate word. A vast interconnected web. What's the word where everything's connected to everything else? I don't know. One of those, anyway. That could form the basis of our first discussion, couldn't it? Anyway, a huge matrix of information. Every individual, a potential contributor. Every individual, a potential inquirer. And we feed in the questions and the answers come out the other end. That's the principle. Doesn't always work, but even if it doesn't work, we have a good go. My contribution is my own awe-inspiring general knowledge, and yours is whatever you can scrape together. And that's the way it works. You give us a ring, you give us a question, somebody gives us an answer. That leads on to another question, and we get an answer to that, but it reminds somebody else of something that they've always meant to ask, and so it goes. At least that's my experience. I'll tell you what we did last week, and I'll give you a little glimpse of what we're going to do this week. Last week, by way of example, we got to the bottom of the rather lengthy and meandering explanation of how New Zealand got its name, despite being part of the Commonwealth and some people thought a British discovery. It isn't at all. And it had various names, and it ended up largely because of a Dutch explorer who discovered it in the first place. And then there's a lot more to it than that, but we got there in the end. That's how New Zealand got its name. And there were links with New York, which was a Dutch colony, and all this sort of thing. We found out that there was a serious film starring in a serious role, Kenneth Williams, probably the only one he's ever played. And it was a gritty sort of cowboy-style-y film of the 1950s, set, believe it or not, in New Zealand. Who'd have thought it? You see how it's all woven together? The expression blood and sand, and the not unrelated one, blood and stomach pills, both popular euphemisms amongst the elderly. And we found out where they came from. One's a novel and one is a patent medicine. I'm beginning to get the picture. The question of submarines wove itself around us, not altogether in keeping with my desires, but it happened nonetheless. We talked about U-boats and why they're called U-boats, and E-boats and why they're called E-boats, and S-boats and why they're called S-boats. We found out the name of the submarine eventually, one of two submarines which paid visits to Manchester docks when they were still when such a thing was still possible, and also the Resurgam and the Hunley, two very early submarines, one designed by a bloke who lived in Manchester, the other took part in the American Civil War, which led us on to other things to do with that, but we've got a query arising from that in questions which have come in during the week. The banana splits, we managed to get the names of all the characters and one or two matters arising from that. The banana splits, the popular children of all ages really, television series of the, I suppose it was the early mid-1970s, possibly? Can't remember now. The expression, no names, no pack drill, one which I confess I use a great deal, and it never occurred to me that I hadn't got the faintest idea what it meant. I knew what I thought it meant, but I didn't know where it came from. A number of explanations were offered for that. Sometimes you get that. You get a lot of explanations, all of which seem plausible, but there's no confirmation. Sometimes we actually come up with the absolute, genuine and undeniable goods. as we did in the case of a couple of questions. One about Sean Connery playing the Arctic explorer Roald Amundsen. He did, in a film called The Red Tent. I'd never heard of it until last week. And that led on to another polar explorer, Captain Scott, played by, of all people, Martin Shaw, who used to be in The Professionals and now is the entirely unconvincing Judge John Dee. And so it goes. That led on to other things. So that's what happens, really. We start off with some things that you've always needed to know, and that sparks off other things, and those in turn lead to other questions and other answers, and the whole thing becomes a cascade of infotainment. Right. That's what we did last week, and that's opened up one or two other subjects. Somebody said, is it true Roger Moore once played Inspector Clouseau? I said I didn't think so. In fact, I think I was adamant that he didn't, but I am apprised this week that apparently he did. Details to follow, as we say in the trade. And other matters arising. Here we are. Yeah, John in Salford said, he did. The Curse of the Pink Panther in 1993. Roger Moore played Inspector Clouseau. I'll try and find out more about that for you. Questions which have arisen during the week. Last Monday, says Harry in Gorton, did he say something about Dennis Waterman, the actor, playing rugby league at one time? He didn't, but he portrayed a man who did. Details to follow. I'm beginning to like that. Details to follow. I'm going to use that a lot. Katie in Bolton says a 1960s American series starring Charles Bronson of The Magnificent Seven and Other Things fame, and it was a sitcom. I can't imagine Charles Bronson in a sitcom. Can you? I mean, he thinks blowing people's heads off's funny, but, you know, it's got limited appeal, I think. Anyway, I've looked into it. I don't think you're right, but somebody might know better. And Samantha in Wigan. Errol Flynn's son. Is it true he disappeared in mysterious circumstances and was never seen again? Well, in a word, yes. Details to follow. And Dave in Swinton. Going back to the submarine things, is it true that the last act of the American Civil War took place in Liverpool? Well, strictly speaking, the answer is yes. Details to follow. Oh, I love that. That's particularly tantalising, isn't it? So you get the picture now. 0161 288 0103 is a principal and preferred means of communication. 0161 288 0103. And if you want to email, we'll leave our the Seacocks open tonight for the email, because we will accept them as they arrive on this occasion only on key103.co.uk, and send us an email from there. And the text, well, it's I can take it or leave it, frankly. There we are. I think I've put my cards on the table there. 0161 288 0103. That'll put you through to Queries and Theories with James H. Reeve on a Monday evening on Key 103. That all went comparatively well, really, for a run-through. OK, we're off to Eccles in a tick. Don't forget, 0161 288 0103.
The James H. Reeve phone-in on Key 103. With stepping stones into work. Don't let disability stop you working.
Hello, Baffin Blake Bluster. How can I help you?
Hi there, I'm looking for a new job. Should I go through the pretence of sending you my CV, even though you and I both know it's a waste of a stamp?
Oh, absolutely. Send it in on expensive paper. I won't read it because I don't care about anyone but myself. But I will spill coffee over it and throw it away. You'll ring again in a couple of weeks. I'll pretend I've no idea who you are or what you want. So you'll send another CV, which I won't even bother to open. Be a fun little game.
Terrific. I look forward to having my time painfully wasted.
Why go through the hassle of finding your own job when you can put your CV on monster.co.uk? Every week, thousands of employers search Monster looking for the perfect candidate. Put your CV on monster.co.uk today.
Listen up. Screwfix Direct have just launched their brand new summer catalogue with thousands of new products and hundreds of amazing money-saving deals. The new Screwfix Trade Counter has thousands of products available to take away today, all at no-nonsense trade prices. So what are you waiting for? For screws, fixings, tools, plumbing and electrical products, to bathrooms, kitchens and much more, it's got to be Screwfix Direct. Find everything from a screw to the kitchen sink at the new Screwfix Direct in Hague Avenue, Whitehall Industrial Estate, Stockport.
All right. Now then, bit of audience participation required, yeah? Imagine you're Oliver Twist. Bear with me. You go into a Ford dealer and you ask, "Please, sir, I want some more." And the Ford dealer says, "More? More?" No trouble. Because with the summer of more, you get more on a new Ford. For example, for just $8,995, the Fiesta Freedom comes with front fog lights, 5-spoke alloys, body-coloured bumpers, rear roof spoiler, CD player with MP3 connector socket, electric front windows, free metallic paint, quick clear windscreen and aircon. There's more of everything. Except gruel. The summer of more from Ford. Feel a difference. Retail only.
The Go Outdoors biggest ever sale must end this Sunday at 5 p.m. with huge reductions on top brand names like the North Face, Berghaus and many more. Go camping with massive savings on tents, from two-person to luxurious family domes. Fill that tent with great camping accessory bargains, from chairs and tables to airbeds and sleeping bags. Go walking with half-price deals on rucksacks, outdoor clothing and footwear. But hurry, the Go Outdoors biggest ever sale ends this Sunday at 5 p.m. Junction 102 M60 Stockport Road, Cheadle Heath. Next to Morrison's.
Darling, you know it's the Lufthansa long weekend?
Yes.
Look, India from only £367 return. Hong Kong from £409 return. I could go handbag shopping.
More handbags?
The place that invented the Singapore sling is from £471 return.
Where's that then?
You're such hard work.
The Lufthansa long weekend. Book your flights before midnight Tuesday at lufthansa.co.uk. Conditions apply. Lufthansa. There's no better way to fly.
The James H. Reeve phone-in on Key 103. Call now on 0161 288 0103.
All right, we've started already. We'll talk to Tony in Eccles. First punter this evening, Tony. Hello, sunshine. You're on that Key 103. Take it away.
Good evening, James.
Oh, come on. Hit the ground running.
James, do you remember
Yes.
do you remember any sitcom in the 70s, I believe, with Richard Wilson, who played a doctor?
In the 70s?
I believe it was the 70s or possibly early 80s. I think one of the Likely lads was in it.
The only thing I can think of, and I'm assuming that 30 years ago and more, Richard Wilson might have looked rather different from...
Victor Meldrew.
Yeah.
He certainly wouldn't have said, "I don't believe it."
No. Oh, that was almost as if he was in the room, Tony. That was uncanny. You see, because some people, unlike myself, have changed in the last 30 years. Some have aged.
Well, maybe he wears a wig now, James.
Yeah.
Unlike yourself.
Shut your face! Was there, what was that thing where they were all in hospital? And
I think that might be it. It does ring a bell. Did they have, like, some comical Asian guy? He was like an orderly or a nurse.
That was very popular in the 1970s, wasn't it?
Not very PC.
I think we take a rather different view. I can't see it ain't half hot, Mum, getting her.
No. I think they've been consigned to the archives.
Wait a minute. They were all in hospital, weren't it? I'm sure James Bolan was in it. And was that bloke with the tash?
Was he the posh one?
Who used to be in Into the Manor Born or something?
Yeah, I think he may have been like a posh one, who probably could have afforded to go private nowadays under Tony's health.
Yeah. All right. Keep it infotainment.
Was there a malingerer? Is the word nowadays? James,
I can't remember, son. I can't remember.
Was that the Likely lad? Was he like shouldn't have been in hospital?
Oh, I honestly can't. I've got a feeling that this is one of those that doesn't capture imagination and you don't really pay much attention to it. But I think, was it called Only When I Laugh or something like that?
It sounds familiar. Like the song was something about being happy or something. But I'm not quite sure.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, have you suffered a blow to the head or something? Because you don't seem to be able to remember anything about this.
Well, it was a long time ago. I'm only in my late 20s.
Right, I don't know, but everybody's ringing in, so obviously they know more about this than I do. So if you carry on listening, the information will feed its way through to you. But if it's the one I'm thinking of, oh dear, yeah, I'm sure James Bolan was in it. Not one of his better efforts, I don't think.
Oh, right.
If it's the one I'm thinking of. But all you've got to do is stop there, keep your wireless tuned to that key 103.
That'll be the one.
And the answer will arrive. Is that all right with you?
Post haste.
Post haste, yes. Thank you very much indeed. No
Right,
names,
thank
no
you.
pack drill. So, right, what was the name of this series? I can see it through a glass darkly. One of the likely lads. It must have been James Boland. I don't remember Richard Wilson. He can't have been very funny. I don't think he's actually been funny throughout, frankly. But there you go. That was what Tony and Eccles wanted to know. 0161 288 0103. That's the way. Doesn't have to be. In fact, I would very much enjoy it if we could make it not exclusively television programmes of the 1970s, because I know from long and bitter experience that this sort of thing can happen. But let's use it as an all-encompassing thing to discover all matters, historical, scientific, popular culture, origins of words and sayings and habits and customs and architecture, all that. Yeah. Right, I was going to say something, I just had a flash of inspiration then, but it's gone. Okay, Adam in Timperley, though, has done... And what a perfect illustration this is of how it all works, you see. Tony calls us with a question, Adam from Timperley calls us with an answer. How very public-spirited of you. Adam, you're on Key 103. Hello.
Hi, I phoned you about... a couple of weeks ago about Manchester Airport and why it was called Ringway.
Oh, yes,
yeah.
And?
Well, I found records back to 1928 when it first started. Basically, that was when Barton was first built, and that was Manchester's, primary aerodrome. But
It was. Just let me spin this out a bit, There had... I think I mentioned this before. A mate of mine did a radio programme about these. There's been a series of airports in Manchester, all getting further and further away from the city centre. And I think the earliest recorded one was in Victoria Park. Or Alexandra Park, I think.
Alexandra Park,
yeah. And then...
Yeah, I've actually got a picture of it here.
Really?
Just let me have a look. I've got a link for you. I think it's Alexandra Park, anyway. Let's just have a look. Yeah, Manchester's first major airfield, 24th of August, 1924.
And I think that's where the plane was The plane! I think that's where the plane... I'm sorry, I can't help doing that. That's where the plane was heading for when it landed next to this bloke who I knew in later life, when it landed near him in Trafford Park, and it turned out the pilot was Buffalo Bill. That's true story. And there was a London to Manchester air race.
Oh, yeah.
At that time, and Buffalo Bill took part in it, so there. Anyway, okay, so we've left Alexandra Park now, and we're
in Wythenshawe.
Right.
There was one built in Wythenshawe, which is now the Rack House Estate. Not sure where that is, but there you go.
Okay.
And then in 1930, Barton was completed, and it looked pretty much as it did today, to be honest. It was still pretty, it was pretty small then. It's not really built now.
It's more of an aerodrome, isn't it?
Aerodrome.
The duty-free is rubbish there.
Yeah, it's sort of figurines.
Yeah, better off going in Macro, it's just across the road.
1935, Ringway began being built, and that was, completed in 38. But then in 1939 it was shut down for the who was it? I think it was for the Parachute Regiment.
The Parachute Regiment trained there, that's correct, yeah.
Yeah, 1st of September 1939. 1946 it reopened, normal passenger service resumed, and then this shows how it's grown. From 1946 to 1954 it had only taken in 1 million passengers, but in 2004 to 2005 it took 20 million.
Really? In a year?
Yeah.
It took 1 million in 8 years?
Yeah.
And it now takes 1 million, it took 1 million a year. Well, that's the way, you see. Of course, you couldn't, in those days, you couldn't fly to Alicante every 20 minutes, could you?
Yeah. So, I think that's pretty much it. The World Freight Terminal opened in 86. Domestic Terminal was opened in 89. That's pretty much it.
You sound as if you're getting on your own nerves now. Right, listen. What I did try to find out is why it used to be called Ringway. In fact, force of habit, I think some people still do call it Ringway.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
And there was clearly a district, an area called Ringway when they first built the airport. But
it was the dialing code there.
There was a number of funny dialing codes around there. There was Mercury.
Yeah.
MER was a dialing code around there. But I've not been able to find out why the area was called Ringway in the first place.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And we get, every now and again, the question arises, how did Strangeways get its name? And, of course, that's nothing to do with Strange Ways. It's to do with, it was, originally, it was the strong wash or something of the river, whatever it is down there. Is it the Irk or the Irwell down there?
It's the Irwell, yeah.
And it became corrupted to Strangeways. And, I cannot remember for the life of me where I've seen this, but I once saw on a pub wall obviously a repro of a very, very old map. And it had the original name of Strangeways on it. And I have racked my brains to try and remember where that pub was. So I could go back and have a look at it, and I can't...
Maybe the owner's listening.
Well, you never know. It was somewhere up the other side of Bury Bolton way, somewhere up that way. I can't remember where it was now, but I remember seeing it and thinking, oh, and then years later, that would have come in really handy, but I can't remember where the bloody pub was.
Yeah.
Not to worry. So there you are. But as to why the place was called Ringway, I don't know. Well, maybe the local history department will be listening and will be able to help us.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it was nice to hear William from Royton again last night.
It was a welcome return.
I know, yeah. We've missed him.
Well, we were worried that he'd perhaps put himself in hospital with some of his more spectacular stunts, you see. Yeah. Setting fire to his own eyebrows and that.
I was just thinking, I don't know whether you're familiar with benefit fraud, but...
Well, I know it goes on, if that's what you mean, yeah.
I was thinking, with this whole, with Jackie and, what's the lady on before you?
Debbie McAllister.
Yeah. What if they're actually stealing the Jaffa cakes and splitting them between themselves and blaming it on you? I think that's what's going on there.
Well, that would be just a typical woman's trick, frankly, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'll look into that. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah.
It's all right. She's looking mystified, but what else is new? Much obliged to you, Adam. Get off now. I am thanking you. Oh, Tar, that was Adam. Taking us through the history of Manchester Airport. I don't remember asking him to do, but he did. And the question remains, though, why is how did the original area of Ringway get its name? I've not been able to find that out. In response to Tony Eccles, how many of these? Loads and loads and loads and loads. The television series you were after was Only When I Laugh, and clearly... everyone says, Only When I Laugh. It was Peter Bowes. Was his name Bowles or Bowes? Anyway, Richard Wilson was in it, and the theme tune was Happy, which you will have heard played on a number of occasions during England's recent performances in the World Cup by the ever-popular Sheffield Wednesday band. Yes. Happy. So there you are, son. We've fixed you up on that one. That was fairly simple, that one. That was a piece of cake. Max says, Alan, the first person to actually play Inspector Clouseau was Alan Arkin. Yes, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, it all gets a bit complicated here. And do you remember a series with David McCallum as the Invisible Man? Yes. Yes, I do. That seems to be the end of that particular avenue of conversation. But there you go. We have got a number of... I'm going to start some hairs running, and now and again we get the same question coming around over and over and over again. Brass Monkeys is a favourite one, and there's another old favourite arrived in the last few seconds, and we'll just do that. I would like to think once and for all, but I know better. But we'll do it anyway. We're going to talk to, we're going to Denton, to one of our Denton correspondents in a moment or two. 0161 288 0103 is the number you need. 0161 288 0103 to join the cavalcade of infotainment, which is James H. Reeve. It's not far off 10:30.
The James H. Reeve phone-in on Key 103.
Boy, oh boy, is your tax going to go up?
With stepping stones into work, advice and support to help you back into work.
Out of the saddle for 15 minutes now. I've been down through all 27 gears. Got nothing left. Thighs are on fire. It's all the fault of the decathlon sale.
With over 70 sports catered for at rock-bottom prices, be careful. You could come in for a football shirt and leave a fully equipped cyclist. The Decathlon Sports Megastore Mega Sale, just off Junction 1 of the M60.
I hate the decathlon sale.
You know running's good, and raising money, well, that feels great. But running and raising money? Now that's amazing. Running 10 kilometres for Cancer Research UK is a fantastic way to fundraise for the UK's leading cancer charity. Whether you're running because somebody close to you has been touched by cancer, or you just want to run and raise money at a spectacular venue, entry couldn't be simpler. To join us at Tatton Park on the 24th of September, visit cancerresearchuk10.co.uk. The Cancer Research UK 10K. Together, we will beat cancer.
Why try to find your own job when you can put your CV on monster.co.uk? Every week, thousands of employers search Monster looking for the perfect candidate. Put your CV on monster.co.uk today.
You know, I let you watch the football.
Yeah.
Well, now it's the Lufthansa long weekend. So there's loads of great deals from just £119 return. There's Barcelona, loads of designer shops, or Rome, all those ancient sites, or how about a bit of culture in Prague? Or I could just go topless in Nice.
What? The Lufthansa long weekend. Book flights to Europe from £119 return before midnight Tuesday at lufthansa.co.uk. Conditions apply. Lufthansa. There's no better way to fly.
To get free broadband forever, just answer this simple question. Can you find your way to the Carphone warehouse? See TalkTalk, their home phone company, will give you up to 8 meg broadband free forever with their new Talk 3 international call package. So you'll never have to pay to use the internet again. Sign up today at the Carphone warehouse. TalkTalk, free forever. One-off connection fee, line rental, fair use, minimum contract terms and conditions apply, subject to availability.
Let's be honest. We know you didn't turn on Key 103 for the ads. Nobody likes hard sell interrupting their favourite music. So, Kia Motors aren't going to waste their time waffling on in marketing jargon to try and convince you that their £7,495 Rio Zap is the best buy in its class. Instead, they've set up a website at kia.co.uk/Zap, where you can see how it measures up against all its competitors and make your own mind up. So, relax and enjoy the rest of the show.
If you claim incapacity benefit, but you want to get back to work, there are some questions you'd probably like answering. For example, what companies would employ me? And how will it affect my benefits? Then you've got the other issues, such as have I got the skills to go back to work? You may even lack the confidence to take that first step back into employment. Well, that's where Stepping Stones can help. Stepping Stones provides advice, training, workshops and financial incentives for anyone claiming incapacity benefit who wants to get back into work. You just need to do one simple thing. Give us a ring. Call Stepping Stones now. 0800 783 1080.
The James H. Reeve phone-in on Key 103. Call now on 0161 288 0103.
Right you are. Let's go direct to Eveline in Denton. Eveline.
Eveline.
Yes.
Is Evelyn.
Evelyn, I beg your pardon. Some like Eveline, some like Eveline.
Well, I've only ever liked Evelyn.
Okay, then.
I only rang you to let Jackie know what...
Oh, to let Jackie know?
Yeah, to tell you...
Yes.
What the name of that series was that Wilson was in.
Oh, yes,
But you already know.
Well, I know, but look, And we like to encourage people to express themselves, because you sound to me, Evelyn, as if you need to come out of your shell a little bit.
Oh, I'm terribly shy and retiring.
Yeah. Well, a lot of Welsh people are.
Well, the Scottish are as well.
Are they?
Mm.
So I thought you'd give the opportunity. Do you remember watching it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I vaguely remember, but I don't
They went around in pyjamas and dressing gowns all the time.
Did they?
It was very interesting.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and Wilson was the doctor.
Had he got any hair then?
I can't remember. Bloomin' heck, it's a while ago.
It is. He must have had some at some
He must have,
stage.
because my husband had hair then.
Oh, right. Good.
You know, so he must have done. I can't honestly remember. I didn't pay much attention to him.
I see the parallel you're making there. Yes,
Yeah.
I didn't quite understand it to begin with, but I've got the bit.
You've got it. You've caught up with me now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought. Do you know? I don't know what he's doing these days. I don't think he's doing much. But the other likely lad, Rodney Bewes.
Oh.
I thought he was fantastic. And apparently he's hardly ever worked since.
I never liked him.
Oh, did you not?
Oh, no. I like James Bolam.
Oh, I like that.
But I never liked Rodney at all, because do you watch that new Tricks that James Bolam is in?
No, I've not seen it.
No, well, that is good.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's good. But by the by, that's got Dennis Waterman in it as well.
Why did you mention Dennis Waterman?
Because you mentioned him earlier.
Well, that's uncanny.
Isn't it?
Because guess what I have in front of me?
What?
Well, okay. Something about Dennis Waterman.
Well, it's
obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah,
because you mentioned him earlier. And
yeah.
he's in that new series of new tricks.
All right, then.
With him, do you see?
I do. It all goes round, doesn't it?
Well,
it all
does,
fits
yeah.
together.
Yeah, but Richard Wilson, I don't think is doing a lot.
No.
I think he's
If you ask me, he's done quite enough.
I think he is for Labour, is he?
Oh, yes.
I think he does a lot of canvassing for them.
Yeah. And I think he's Bernard Manning's new agent, I believe, as well.
Oh, that'll be very busy then, won't it?
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm going to talk about Dennis Waterman now, Evelyn.
Oh,
Is
well,
that all
I'll
right
go and
with
listen
you?
to you then.
That's very kind. Thank you very much indeed.
And it's lovely to speak to you.
It's lovely to speak to you as well.
I'll go and listen to you now.
Okay, yucky dar then.
Bye.
Bye-bye now. Cheery bye. That's Evelyn in Denton. We're off to Moston in a minute. But I don't know which to do now, because I'll tell you what, I'll do these in no particular order. There you are. That'll baffle you. First one, yes, let's do Dennis Waterman, since we mentioned him. Right. This is Harry in Gorton, who keeps us busy. He says, last Monday, you said something about Dennis Waterman, the actor, having played rugby league at one time. I don't think you had time to fit it in. Can you tell us tonight? Well, he says, very intriguing, says Harry. And I can imagine Harry stroking his chin like that and going, very intriguing. You interest me strangely. Well, in actual fact, it's nothing to do with Dennis Waterman playing rugby league, but it's Dennis Waterman depicting someone who did. And I have to say, this is an absolutely and completely new one on me. Dennis Waterman starred in a film called The First Kangaroos, which is not about kangaroos at all. This is in 1987. And it was an Australian production company, and it's the story. And I know we sort of, there's obscure and there's recherche and there's fascinating. The story of the first Australian rugby league team to play Britain, to tour Britain. It was at the turn of the century, and Dennis Waterman played the head of the Yorkshire team, which they played in one of the games in Britain. And there's a lot more to it, Curious, he seems to have enjoyed doing things like that, because Dennis Waterman was in that extraordinary little film of the World Cup, where England did quite nicely. In fact, they won it in something like 1910. It will have not escaped your attention that this is before the World Cup actually took place, because that was in 1930. But it was a curious film in which West Auckland FC were invited to take part in the World Cup, which was like an inter-club tournament, and they were invited to take part by mistake because the Italians who were organising it thought they were inviting Woolwich Arsenal. And they invited West Auckland, got the letter instead, so they went, and they won it. Apparently it's a true story, and it's the most peculiar little film. Dennis Waterman was in that as well. I think it was set in maybe the 1920s or something like that. Anyway, he obviously enjoys making those unusual little films about obscure incidents. We'll talk to... You'll have to hang on, Albert. We're going to talk to you in a second. But we're going over to our Blazing Inferno desk.
Yeah.
Newly
inaugurated.
Yeah, I opened it officially.
Thank you.
Just a few moments ago. Because here's Jackie with some important travel and combustible materials news.
Yeah, we had a text before about a fire in Cheetham Hill. Well, there is one on Queen's Road at the Finnegan's Dance School. Fire crews were called after reports of an explosion. When they turned up, the building was on fire. The roof has completely collapsed along with 3 walls. 7 fire engines there, and importantly, Queen's Road has been closed. We'll let you know when it reopens.
Is that the Irish club's on Queen's Road, isn't it? And opposite the... is it that bit?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finnegan's Dance School.
Nothing to do with me.
Okay. Not an insurance job, is it?
No.
No? Okay.
Don't know anything about it.
Right. So Queen's Road is closed, presumably between Smedley Lane and Cheetham Hill Road.
I just know that Queen's Road's closed.
Queen's Road is closed. Okay, avoid the area, unless you want to park up at a safe distance and just to watch the fire. But we wouldn't encourage you to do that because you get in people's way. It's not like where you could just drive up, straight up and get out of the car right in front of Steve McQueen. That doesn't happen. That was only in the film. Right? Avoid the area if possible. Queen's Road closed, and obviously you don't want to get in the way of the fire appliances and what have you. Thank you. Albert in Moston. He probably wasn't going out tonight anyway, I wouldn't have thought. You weren't thinking of going out tonight, Albert, were you?
No, I can't.
Okay, then.
I can't see my way to get anywhere.
Oh, I thought it was because you were skint.
Oh, no.
Okay, then. Well, you know when you were getting near the fire because you'd feel the heat.
Well, that's it. It's not Ordsall. Strange Ways.
Strange Ways, yes.
Yeah, I always understood that Strange Ways was named after a Norman knight who came over with William the Conch, who was Sir Guy of Strange Ways.
Give over.
As was Ordsall. Ordsall was one of the knights that came over with William the Conqueror.
Really?
I don't know. I'm putting it forward. This is what I was told years and years ago.
Well, there is, of course, Ordsall Hall, which is... But then again, you don't know whether that's just named after because it's in Ordsall.
No, Ordsall, I'm sure. I'm 95% sure was named after a French knight who came over. Was it 1066? No, was it?
William the Conqueror?
Well,
yeah. That was 1066.
I've got brain damage and I forget some things.
Oh, that's all right. I forget things anyway, and I'm supposed to be all right.
But you're doing well on the balls tonight.
I've got no excuse.
Derby, I don't know. I'd go to Llanfair Puckwyn, Guildford, get a front of Santa Sedaga Gold Cork to hear that.
Yeah, well, it's worth it, yeah.
And the French.
Yes.
Coming out with that tonight as well.
Oh, there's plenty of it. I speak all modern languages.
Excellent.
Right.
No, but I think that is was one of the knights. And, of course, they were all rewarded with big tracts of land, weren't they? And most of them built castles.
Yeah, it was all dished out here. That's why, Trafford was Sir Humphrey de Trafford and...
I didn't know that, but, there must be a lot of them.
Yeah, that's what went on, you see. If if you'd done good service, you got a big tract of land, and that remains with us to this day.
I'm sure you got a proper historian who can either confirm or deny that.
Well, the Strange Ways thing, I am...
Guy of Strange Ways rings a bell. On 1066,
okay,
67.
Well, you see, Strange Ways would be... there are no French words, strange ways.
That's what I thought.
So it would likely be a corruption of something, if that's the case.
Yeah, I've been trying to think of what it could be corrupted from, but I can't get my head around it.
A lot of people say that Robert the Bruce was in fact French.
Well, there were a lot of mixed mixed Scottish and French blood.
And he was, in actual fact, Robert de Bruges, which is...
Ghent, isn't it? Bruges and Ghent.
Well, they reckon John of Gaunt was John of Ghent, but Robert the Bruce, some say, was Robert of Bruges.
Could well be.
So once again, the Scots and the French being sneaky and ganging up on us, you know.
They did a bit of travelling about without trains, didn't they?
Eh?
They did a bit of travelling about without trains.
Yes, that was some time later.
They didn't have bikes.
Right, shut up. Right, in this case, the Oddsall thing is, that's quite interesting. The strange ways, I am
sure, going back to a long, long way, I'm in my, past my mid-60s, but I can remember it from an awful long time ago. And I know I've had a lot of brain damage with a stroke and that, but it just rings the bell straight away.
Right. Well, I tell you what, I am prepared to be persuaded, Albert. It doesn't ring a bell, but I am happy to be
interesting
persuaded.
to throw it out to the listeners, because you do have some erudite people listen to your programme.
Erudite? I'll say yes. Yeah. Some of them sniff it, but yeah, I know what you mean. Oh no, that's erudite, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, sorry, but again, that still applies. Many of them prefer plastic padding, but it's not as easy to get hold of as it used to be. Right, Oddsall, that had never occurred to me, actually, but I'd be interested to hear. I mean, clearly the hall is there, and there'll be some history attached to that. Strange ways. I would take some persuading, but in the face of scientific evidence, what can I do? I can do nothing. I can do nothing but concur, because there is a scientific imperative which runs throughout these broadcasts, as I'm sure you're aware. I mean, we jazz them up a little bit sometimes, but broadly speaking, when faced with fact, we can but wipe our mouths. 0161 288 0103. You see how it's beginning to take on that familiar shape of things going off at all angles and me not really knowing what's happening? Well, that's what we're aiming for. I'll just complete, actually, the Dennis Waterman bit. Listen to this. Going back to this, the film was called The First Kangaroos, a film made in 1987. Australian rugby league team touring England in 1908 to help promote the new professional sport which had followed the British example and broken away from the traditional union game. I didn't know any of this. The same thing happened in Australia then. The first half of the film is about the Australians splitting away from rugby union to rugby league. Alex Bluey Burden, not the detective, was played by Philip Quast. I don't know why I told you that. Anyway, the second half covers the actual tour. The first Kangaroos sailed for England on the Royal Mail steamer Macedonia. They toured England, and then there's a lot of stuff that you're probably not interested in. Arthur Pony Holloway was amongst them. It's worth remembering. And they played 46 games throughout a long, hard English winter, won 18, drew 6, lost 22, and so on and so forth. And the tour was so far in the red at the end that the Northern Union had to step in and pay the players passage home, plus some money to live off, and so on and so forth. So anyway, it was a bit of a disaster, really, but presumably Dennis Waterman felt it showed the appropriate spirit, and he took part in the film about it. So, if he's played, he was only doing it for the cameras. Thank you. He clearly didn't do it professionally. There we are, Harry and Gorton. Remember that? The First Kangaroos, it's called. 1987. I don't know whether it's available on DVD. Not by the sound of things. Thank you. David is in Wythenshawe. How do you like that, David? I bet you didn't know that, did you?
I did not, James.
There we are, you see.
Now, you was talking before about Charles Bronson being miscast in a sitcom.
Ah, hang on, let me consult my copious notes. Yeah. Wait, whoa. Katie and Bolton, an obscure 1960s American sitcom starring Charles Bronson. He played a photographer, and he was quite funny. Nobody believes me. Well, I find it difficult, but do you know different? Can you prove me wrong, David?
No, I can't, James.
Right.
But there was more miscast in a film in the 70s. He played a history teacher in London, and he had an affair with his pupil, who was Susan George.
Oh, that sort of... Yeah, I think
I remember the title tune to the film was Les Bicyclettes by Engelbert Humperdinck. And I watched it open-mouthed, James, because it was so Miss Castanet, it was just unbelievable.
Miss Castanet? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at one time, Susan George would have you watching open-mouthed, but, but time marches on. The only thing I've managed to find here, I can see him in a sports coat. It's bound to be on Channel 5 one afternoon in the near future. Listen, the only thing I can find here, Man with a Camera. This was a TV series in 1958. This is what I've dug up here. But listen to this. The minute we start, you know it's typical Charles Bronson. Doesn't sound much like a comedy to me, this. Former combat cameraman. So, we're heading in the right direction straight away, aren't we?
Yeah.
And then, wait till you hear his name. Mike Kovac. So, the first 5 words, we can be fairly sure it's not a sitcom.
Right.
Former combat cameraman Mike Kovac is now a freelance photographer in New York City, specialising in difficult and dangerous assignments where he can get the kinds of pictures that other photographers can't or won't take. He sometimes gets help from his contact in the police department, Lieutenant Donovan.
Oh, right.
And advice from his immigrant father, Anton. Well, that doesn't sound to me like a barrel of laughs, that.
It certainly doesn't, Jim.
No.
If anyone knows the name of that film with Charles Bronson as Susan George, I'd be very interested, because I think it was the name of a girl, her name in it. You know.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, I know why Ringway Airport's called Ringway Airport.
Well, no, it's because it's in Ringway, but why is Ringway called Ringway?
Well, that goes back in time immemorial. Now, Andy Black's on Ringway Road, James, which is a pub that's at now. They call it Andy Black.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it was called Ringway when that was built, and that was in the 1500s.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
Right. So where does the actual word Ringway come from?
That'll be lost in the mists of time, James. You know. Incidentally, do you remember Andy Black? It was a Man City player.
Yeah.
And he played for Scotland.
And he had a son called Andy as well.
And Graham. And Alistair.
All right, then, okay. right. Make me a liar.
Right, James.
Hello, what?
Can I ask one question?
Yes.
Now, a long time ago, there was a pub in town. Everyone used to talk about this pub. I never went in it. It was called Tommy Duck's.
Oh, yes.
But I never went in it. But what was so special about Tommy Duck's?
Tommy Duck's, well...
And who was Tommy Duck? Was it just a name, or was it...
I don't...
You know.
Oh, now then, do you know, I think this is one of those things that I have known in my time.
Yeah.
But I've had to file it very deep down to make room for other stuff. What was unusual about it? It got knocked down despite a considerable amount of public protest.
It did, yeah.
And it
was...
Another
supermarket.
Right. Well, no, it's where, believe it or not, all those buildings which include the head office of the Professional Footballers Association.
Oh, yeah.
It's round there now. I'll tell you where you would get to it. If you...
was it near the GMEX?
It was, yeah. If you came out of GMEX and turned right...
Yeah.
Went across Lower Mosley Street...
Right.
And down a Ginnell there, Tommy Duck's was at the back there.
Yeah.
And then if you turned left, you came out near enough opposite the Odeon.
Oh, right. Was it a very old pub? Was it very old?
It was very old. It appeared to be. I think it was a survivor. There are pictures of it in Victorian times. I think there was a music hall down there. Now something's coming down. I think there was it a music hall or lodgings for music hall entertainers down there? Something that there was.
In the pub.
There was something going on. Down that... Oh, hang on, a name's going to come to me in a minute. Was it like Hilton's Music Hall or something like that? Anyway, the point about Tommy Duck's was, it was, and I don't know, I mean, clearly this is a recent tradition, is that it had hundreds of pairs of knickers stuck to the ceiling.
Oh.
By one means or another. And also, I'm sure this was just a bit of whimsy on the part of a recent landlord, but there used to be a coffin with a glass top on it.
And who put them up there?
Well, it became a bit of the fashion to leave your knickers on the ceiling at Tommy Duck's. It was all done in the best possible taste. The skeleton in the coffin was, I think that was a comic device by one of the landlords, but Tommy Duck's had certainly been there for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And there is something else gnawing at the back of my mind.
It sounded like such a fun place. I'm sorry I missed out on it, you know, because funny enough, I was downtown every week that time. I never seemed to go in Tommy Duck's, you know.
Well, you've missed that particular window, but it was. I mean, there was nothing special about it. It was just a pub. But it seemed to be the sort of place where...
It's stag nights there, didn't there?
I can't remember now, actually. Somebody will fill in the details. But that's where it was now. And if you would... I think it's just a car park now, opposite the G-Max.
No, I heard it got knocked down, James, for some building purposes.
Well, it might
in the middle of the night, the bulldozers turned up in the middle of the night and knocked it down illegally, unlawfully.
No, right. There was... a bit of a funny doings with some of the buildings. That was not Tommy Duck's.
All right.
There was a lot of.
Good.
Listen, there was a lot of protest about the demolishing Tommy Duck's, but it was they lost in the end, so it was demolished. There was a bit of illegal demolition went on by a firm which I shall not name. But it was to do with the old buildings, part of which is GMEX now.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember the story now, but it was... They were trying to knock it down before the preservation order was put on it, if you're with me. And there was a bit of jiggery-pokery at the time, but that would be a good few years ago. And I'll tell you, a mate of mine who was... following the story at the time, a lad called Roger Finnegan, no relation to any of the Finnegans. Oh, in fact, he is related to one of the Finnegans you might have heard of. But he was actually, I remember he was looking into that at the time. But they actually, this firm started knocking it down, trying to present the council with a fait accompli before they could slap a preservation order on these buildings. But they got there in time, I think, and stopped them. Well, they were halfway through knocking them down. Anyway.
Well, if they're halfway through, they might as well finish it off.
We can't, what's done is done. We can't really influence that. But that is the story. But no, the Tommy Duck's was dead legit, and they tried to preserve it, and failed, so it did get knocked down.
It's just always struck a chord.
Yes. Now there's another pub called the Old House at Home, which will be that's in Crumpsall, and they did get that preserved. They stopped ICI knocking it down to build on it, so ICI got round that by leaving the pub where it was and building all the buildings anyway. So it's a little pub surrounded by ICI.
It's not inside, is it?
What? Well, no, wait, it's a building. A building's out in the open air. But
it's built ICI round it.
Oh, for God's sake, yes, it's a pub, but they built ICI round. Well, you can get to it, obviously. Right. So that's Tommy Duck's done for you. Right. I've got a horrible feeling you're going to tell them this. You're just going to tell me the story again in a slightly different form, in a not particularly different form, actually. So there. So now you know. We're going to Levenshulme in a second. We've got a lot more stuff coming in here. I'm going to tackle some emails. It is murder, isn't it, eh? It's like... What does it remind me of? You know when you see like films about rodeos? And there's a bloke he's got hold of the horns of a dirty big steer. And he's trying to make the... I sometimes feel like that. In a professional way, in an editorial way. Right. But we're going to look into the Charles Bronson thing further, because we have got some suggestions. We're going to talk to Eric, who's in Levenshulme, and I'm going to answer that perennial one, which has come round yet again, and also the inquiry about the son of Errol Flynn. I'm going to do that for you. First, though, I'm sure you'll understand we have to do this.
The James H. Reeve phone-in on Key 103 with Stepping Stones. See steppingstonesintowork.info.
When you are the biggest, you don't need to shout. Like the Benson's The Beds half-price summer sale. They've got a huge choice of styles, from magnificent designer bedsteads to the latest in that amazing memory foam technology, and all at the most unbelievable prices. The Benson's For Beds half-price summer sale is now on. Over 230 stores nationwide. For your nearest, call 0808 144 0000.
5 mornings a week, Alison has treatment for cancer. The hospital is over an hour's drive away. This means filling up with petrol once or twice a week, which wouldn't be so bad if it was her only expense. Alison guessed that her treatment would involve lots of expensive machines, but she didn't think the hospital parking meter would be one of them.
Travelling and parking costs for cancer treatments can mount up. So if you're struggling to afford it, call Macmillan free on 0800 500 800 and we'll tell you what financial help is available and how to claim it. That's 0800 500 800. Macmillan Cancer Support. We want a better deal for people dealing with cancer.
Out of the saddle for 15 minutes now. I've been down through all 27 gears. I've nothing left. Thighs are on fire. It's all the fault of the decathlon sale.
With over 70 sports catered for at rock bottom prices, be careful. You could come in for a football shirt and leave a fully equipped cyclist. The Decathlon Sports Megastore Mega Sale, just off Junction 1 of the M60.
I hate the decathlon sale.
You know running's good, and raising money, well, that feels great. But running and raising money? Now that's amazing. Running 10 kilometres for Cancer Research UK is a fantastic way to fundraise for the UK's leading cancer charity. Whether you're running because somebody close to you has been touched by cancer, or you just want to run and raise money at a spectacular venue, entry couldn't be simpler. To join us at Tatton Park on the 24th of September, visit cancerresearchuk10.co.uk. The Cancer Research UK 10K. Together, we will beat cancer.
Why try to find your own job when you can put your CV on monster.co.uk? Every week, thousands of employers search Monster looking for the perfect candidate. Put your CV on monster.co.uk today.
Darling, you know it's a Lufthansa long weekend?
Yes.
Look, India from only £367 return. Hong Kong from £409 return. I could go handbag shopping.
More handbags?
The place that invented the Singapore sling is from £471 return.
Where's that then?
You're such hard work.
The Lufthansa long weekend. Book your flights before midnight Tuesday at lufthansa.co.uk. Conditions apply. Lufthansa. There's no better way to fly.
Oi, you lot done yet? Me and the girls are just putting the finishing touches to the Rockwool Roadshow at your local build centre. Come on down and find out more about Rockwool Flexi, the fantastic multi-use insulation product with a unique flexible edge. You'll get a free bacon butty and a mug of tea just for turning up. And you could enter our lucky draw and win prizes worth a total of 15 grand. Can't be bad, can it?
Bill, we need you.
On my way. Oh, it's a dirty job, but someone's got to do it.
Get down to the Rockwool Roadshow at your local build centre.
The James H. Reeve phone-in on Key 103. Call now on 0161 288 0103.
Do you know, I really don't know how to do this. I happen to mention that there's a question which comes round every now and again, every so often, and I said, it's a bit like the Brass Monkeys one, you know. And what happens? Within seconds, Andy in Rochdale sends in the completely incorrect answer. Yeah. Brass monkeys are frames which contain cannonballs when cold contracted and balls fell out. No, Andy. No. A lot of people think that's true, but it isn't. No. We've had it I don't know how many times, and I would like to think in the crusade I have led to bring understanding to the great unwashed, especially in the Rochdale area, that I would like to think you are the last person who still harbours the misapprehension that that's where the expression comes from. So it's my own fault for even using the expression brass monkeys, because I knew it would start that off. Nothing to do with it, Andy. Sorry and all that, son. Doesn't matter. Right. What about... Shall we try, Eric? Yeah. Yeah, we'll do that now. Eric, in Leadenshulme. Hello.
Hello, James. It's Eric in Leadenshulme.
Oh, yes, well, I was hoping it would be.
First-time caller.
First-time caller, frequent listener.
And you'd also know me as Eric XXGMX, by the way. But yes, but I don't think I've ever rung in before, as far as I recall.
Don't think you have?
No. Well, it's just regarding this ringway thing.
Yes.
Well, years ago when I was doing my degree, and I specialised in airport safety, and I used Manchester Airport as the case study. Right. So I had to study its history, you know, as one of the chapters, etc. So what happened was that there was already an airfield on Manchester Airport site called Ringway, but it was just a small military site, you know, a bit like Barton. And that was called Ringway. Now,
I've actually seen photos of the parachute regiment training, and you can see it's just like a lot of huts and a bit of a windsock.
It would be in those days, pretty much like Barton is now.
Yeah.
So what they did when they realised that they needed, commercial air travel was taking off in the mid-30s, they realised they needed an airport, and they considered siting it at Hough End originally, and that where it was going to be, you know, the fields at Hough End.
Yeah, off the Parkway. Yeah.
That's right, and the other candidate was Ringway Military Airfield. Right, now the council voted on this sometime around about 1936, and they decided that Hough End was a bit too marshy for a runway. So the chairman, in fact, in the end, had the casting vote, and that's how it came about that they developed Ringway.
There's a thing.
Just by one vote.
So it's, you can see it's very gradually made its way from Alexandra Park.
Yes, out to Wythenshawe.
Yeah.
And then, of course, at this time, they started building the Wythenshawe estate and Princess Parkway.
Yeah.
And to go on a plane, you had to go to the middle of town, Piccadilly somewhere, and you used to get the bus, you know, out to the airport. So you used to check in town, get your tickets, put your luggage in, etc., all get loaded on this bus and down to the airport.
On a blue bus?
Yes, that's right. Because obviously in those days, hardly anybody had a car.
Yeah.
You know, so that's how they did it. And apart from a couple of minor accidents, Manchester's actually one of the safest airports in the world. There's only ever been one recorded crash, which is a sort of fairly small plane crashed into the roofs on Shadowmoss Road sometime in the 50s. Right. Killed about 3 or 4 people, and then there was the fire, of course.
The fire in 85.
22nd of August. Yeah. So that was it, really. So I think I can't really go any further back with the history as to why that was originally called Ringway.
Right.
But that's how the name stands from then.
I am much obliged to you.
Okay.
Thank you very much indeed, sir.
Okay.
Hi, Nicole. Cheery bye, cock. Cheery up. Eric in Leadenshulme. Still no nearer why the actual place got its name. It would be nice to know. Actually, how did Odsall get its name as well? I had an offer earlier that they're both named after people. And Strangeways. I'm not convinced by Strangeways. I don't know about Odsall. And Ringway, we're still looking for that. Meanwhile, let me help you in response to Samantha from Wigan. Hello. Who says, what about Errol Flynn's son? I was told yesterday, says Samantha, that Errol Flynn's son disappeared in real life. And I was wondering if anyone can tell me more. I didn't even know that there was a son. Can you give me any more info? All right. Well, here we are, Samantha. Listen to this. Errol Flynn's son, Sean, was born in 1941. He, like his father, became an actor. But I don't think he did very well. He was the only child from the marriage of Errol Flynn and Lily Demeter, of whom I can't honestly say I've ever heard. But he did make a film or two, but I don't think he could have been much good. Because by the time the Vietnam War came around, Sean Flynn was working as a freelance photojournalist under contract to Time magazine. On April the 6th, 1970, he and a fellow journalist who was working for CBS. They left Phnom Penh on rented motorbikes to find the front lines of the fighting in Cambodia. They were travelling southeast on Route 1 near a eucalyptus plantation. This is remarkably detailed, isn't it? In eastern Cambodia, were stopped at a checkpoint, led away by elements of the Viet Cong Tay Ninh armed forces and elements of the combined North Vietnamese Viet Cong da-di-da-di-da-di-da. So, all right. Now, what happened next is unknown. There are conflicting reports. Some say they were executed in mid-1971. Others say that they survived. One source said he'd seen a group of very long-haired, bearded, tall prisoners in Cambodia who were believed to be imperialist journalists. Over the years, there has been occasional word from Cambodian villages that someone's seen someone being held prisoner by the Khmer Rouge. But the point is this, that Sean Flynn has never been seen from that day to this. Right. Since April the 6th, 1970. He did have children. Let's see, if he was born in 1941, then in 1970, he would have been 29. At least one of Errol Flynn's grandchildren survives, but Sean Flynn, his son, disappeared. The story of Sean Flynn inspired the song by The Clash from the album Combat Rock, and the song is called Sean Flynn. He was declared legally dead in 1984. His mother spent a tremendous amount of money searching for him, but he was never found. And there is a story about the Vietnam War by a bloke called Michael Hare, H-E-R-R, and Sean Flynn is a character in that. But there you go. Yeah, so that is the case. And I have to say, didn't know that myself. Errol Flynn's son disappeared in Cambodia in 1970 and has never been seen since. So there you are. Thank you. Chris in somewhere has just texted in. Yeah, is the answer. But don't get carried away with the idea that you send a text and I respond to it. Except, unless your name is Alan, in which case, shove off. Thank you. Alan. Yeah. Don't you see, it's a dicey thing to do, Alan, because I'm not very good at this job, as you point out, and sometimes when I'm reading, I go along the line like that, and as I'm reading out all the daring, rude words that you've so excitingly and bravely texted in, I sometimes go straight across into the next column and read your telephone number out, and can you imagine the headaches that causes? And there's nothing I can do about it. Martin in Wigan says another actor who played rugby league was Richard Harris in This Sporting Life in the early 60s. Yes, yeah, but he didn't really, did he? He just played it to be in a film. He was in actual fact an actor. When you think about it, obviously, because he was in a film, he would have to be an actor, wouldn't he? So he was an actor playing somebody. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Let's not get bogged down in rugby league, right? I'll just remind you of the purpose of this exercise. 0161 288 0103 is the constant ebb and flow of information, queries and theories, infotainment. You ask a question, somebody answers it, somebody answers another question, that sets you off, that reminds you of something, and on we go, yada, 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 yada. 0161 288 0103. That's the way to do it. What are we going to do next? I don't know, I've got a load of stuff here.
Dear Diary, Dad here. This week it's Nectar's Sizzling Summer Party Week, and what a fantastic day it's been. Nectar gave us 50% off wine, new barbecues, and my new patio heater. We checked it all out on Nectar.com. Oh, you should have been there. What a great party. I was grilling and dancing away. What a host.
Oh, yeah. I'm funky. Check it out.
Diary, what a brilliant summer deal. And quite a party. Good wine, a great new barbecue, and my new patio heater. Splendid. Shame about my poor back, though.
Nectar Summer of Rewards. Rewards are sweeter with Nectar. Terms and conditions apply. Visit nectar.com or call 08704 100 100.
You know, just because your dogs hit it off doesn't mean that you will. So how do we find our perfect partner? You know, I'm asking you. Even thrush treatments have better luck than me. Look at that. In one happy little box, you've got Mr. Perfect Pessary sorting out the cause of the infection, while Ms. Cool and Confident Cream soothes everything, making it all better. Oh, they really complement each other. Yeah, give them time. They haven't tried to collapse a buggy in public yet. Canis and Combi, Pessary and Cream. A perfect partnership. Available at pharmacies and supermarkets. Contains clotrimazole. Always read the label. 5 mornings a week, Alison has treatment for cancer. The hospital is over an hour's drive away. This means filling up with petrol once or twice a week. Which wouldn't be so bad if it was her only expense. Alison guessed that her treatment would involve lots of expensive machines. But she didn't think the hospital parking meter would be one of them.
Travelling and parking costs for cancer treatments can mount up. So if you're struggling to afford it, call Macmillan free on 0800 500 800 and we'll tell you what financial help is available and how to claim it. That's 0800 500 800. Macmillan Cancer Support. We want a better deal for people dealing with cancer.
Wouldn't it be a good idea to be able to move your mortgage without paying hundreds of pounds in setup fees? We think so too. The fee-free mortgage from Abbey. Pay nothing on booking fees, nothing on standard legal fees, nothing on valuation fees. Pay absolutely nothing to remortgage to us. Call 0800 80 80 80, visit abbey.com or your local branch for details. Abbey. More ideas for your money.
Available on selected tracker products. Early repayment charges apply for 2 years from completion. Free valuation up to £1,100. Calls recorded.
Set the treadmill to 5k. Done 3. Feels like 30. Legs are jelly. Lungs are burning. And it's all down. To the decathlon sale.
With over 70 sports catered for at rock bottom prices. Be careful, you could come in for some tennis balls and leave with a fully equipped gym. The Decathlon Sports Megastore Mega Sale, just off junction 1 of the M60.
I hate the decathlon sale.
You know, I let you watch the football.
Yeah.
Well, now it's the Lufthansa long weekend. So there's loads of great deals from just £119 return. There's Barcelona, loads of designer shops, or Rome, all those ancient sites, or how about a bit of culture in Prague? Or I could just go topless in Nice.
What? The Lufthansa long weekend. Book flights to Europe from £119 return before midnight Tuesday at lufthansa.co.uk. Conditions apply. Lufthansa. There's no better way to fly.
The James H. Reeve phone-in on Key 103. Call now on 0161 288 0103.
And at 16 minutes past 11, it's over to the desk. Oh, hang on, I'll just have to change the sign. There we are. That was a close one. It was it said fire desk, but now it's the Queries and Theories email desk brackets incoming.
And the first one from Shark Chaser in Newcastle upon Tyne, and says, "Hello James, if you recall back a few weeks on Queries and Theories Night, I inquired to the origins of the phrase break a leg, the term used to wish actors a good performance prior to going on stage. You then gave the answer, which was that a term of good luck in acting circles is turned on its head and thus becomes a form of bad luck. So, a phrase suggesting bad luck like break a leg is really good luck. Yet, someone texted in later on and suggested it had a link to the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. I looked into it, and the suggested theory goes that in the Ford's Theatre in 1865, an actor called John Wilkes Booth assassinated Lincoln in his private box. Then, whilst attempting to flee the scene, he broke his leg jumping from the box, so the phrase was possibly born out of that. How about that?"
Yeah, I've heard that. Ford's Theatre is still operating, by the way. It's still, yeah, I've heard it. I don't see how it would come to have that meaning, how it would be taken on board by the theatrical profession. One theory was that it's an old German expression, Haus und Beinbruch, which is a cheery German way of saying, because I think the recent World Cup, I don't know if you remember that, has it's done a lot to improve the image of Germans as a fun-loving, cheery nation, without the fairly, what's the word you would use? unsmiling characteristics, often associated with them in the past. So, I hope you'll break your leg and your neck.
That's nice.
Cheery German greeting.
Yeah.
Originating in the German Flying Corps. Don't know. I think one of the mildly exasperating things about this is that you find you end up wondering how such a thing has made its way so firmly into the language, and then the origins have completely been lost. I think we've done this a few times as well. The full 9 yards. Nobody seems to know. I mean, lots of people have got views to do with lengths of cloth and machine gun belts and touchdowns.
The meaning could change a lot as it's used as well over so many years.
Yeah, but not in this case. Anyway, but as regards the origin, there are so many versions, and yet there's no one can prove it for certain.
Right.
So there we are. Even though the meaning remains the same.
Yeah, well, sometimes it doesn't. I'm just making a very simple
point. Oh, that can happen. Yeah.
Hello, James. You know, in the good old days when the Navy used to recruit using a press gang, why was it called press? Press suggests printing. Why did the Navy adopt it? That's from Moira.
Press is to press into service. It's short for something. But the expression of one volunteer is worth 10 pressed men. Have you heard that?
No, I haven't heard that.
Yeah. Press. Why were they called press gangs? It's to do with it's shortening of impress. Now, impress originally doesn't mean just to make an impression in the way that we
use it today.
Yeah, to make a dent in something. Yeah, but it's to do with force. It's to do with forcing people into service. I'll look it up for you if you want.
There we go.
During one of the approaching breathers. Yeah.
A question from Jane in Salford. She says, you know the old Victorian fire engines were horse-drawn? Well, is it true the world's first motorised fire engine was invented in Wigan? And what was the name of the driver?
Well, Earnshaw. No, I did see this. You know that notice on the wall upstairs?
Yeah.
Listing the famous people from Wigan?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's something on that.
Should we go and get it?
About, the world's first motorised fire engine was from Wigan or Lee or somewhere like that.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll go and grab it in a minute.
And also, Stanner stair lifts was, they were invented in, Halifax.
I thought you were going to tie a gag again.
No.
I'm glad.
I'll use the gag on special occasions.
Right.
But
which
you have to suspend your disbelief. Oh no, most certainly isn't.
James, says Norma in Manchester, no one has yet answered my query of some weeks ago with respect to a TV programme in the early 70s where 3 puppet witches started a show around a cauldron. Also, where does the saying "sent to Coventry" come from?
Oh dear, I can sort of see the 3 witches. Sent to Coventry. Again, this is one that I've done in the past. Was it that something to do with the Civil War? Coventry was dealt with very harshly by one of the sides in the Civil War. And the population did not extend a warm welcome to soldiers thereafter, and that is part of the reason being sent to Coventry is bad news, because when you got to Coventry, people they wouldn't serve them in the shops and all that sort of thing. That's one explanation that I have heard.
Silence, because it means no one will speak to you, doesn't it?
Well, I think that's implied, yeah.
Right, I see. Okay.
Ignore. Right.
Mark in Wigan says, hi James, that film of Dennis Waterman in about the early World Cup was called A Captain's Tale. Day Bradley.
Well, is there an L in it?
No, it's D-A-I.
Di, that'll be Di, yeah.
Di Bradley.
Yeah.
Who played the young lad in Kes was in it, and Tim Healy.
Oh, he was, yeah. A Captain's Tale, that's right, yeah. And that's when, owing to a typographical error, West Auckland, I think it was in West Auckland Working Men's Club or something like that,
Right.
won the World Cup.
Right.
Won the World Cup. In fact, I think we'd have done better sending the current West Auckland Working Men's Club
Probably.
to represent us in Baden-Baden.
Let's not get into that.
Und Gelsenkirchen.
Harry and Gorton says, good evening, James. There was a Charles Bronson TV series in the 50s called Have Camera Will Travel. I don't know if it was a comedy, though. I hope this helps.
I can't see Charles Bronson doing anything remotely amusing.
Oh, Sue says the same, actually. She says,
Right.
I think I remember that Charles Bronson TV series. Was it Have Camera Will Travel? I don't think it was the 70s. Much older than that. It was a comedy, and Charles Bronson was a photographer, hence the title.
Well, OK, I'll settle for that. It sounds very, very implausible. I just can't imagine... Well, Charles Bronson couldn't act, let alone make you laugh.
No, not true.
Just used to plod around a bit, didn't he?
Yeah.
That was it. Anyway, so there we are. So, anything else? Has that cleared the decks?
Yeah, do you want to change my sign back?
Why? What's going to happen now?
Well, I'll tell you.
You got further information?
I have.
Well, I need to know what to change it back to.
The fire desk.
Oh, right, OK. Well, this isn't going to convince people, is it? They're going to know it's you.
Well, OK.
Shall we have a break and then
It's
do
only
it?
a tiny bit of information.
No, let's have a break and then it's more like separate.
If you want, then.
Makes it split, you know.
All right.
OK, it's 25 minutes to 11. This is Key 103. James H. Reeve here. Queries and Theories, our traditional Monday night exercise. In a moment, we'll be carrying on with our relentless search for the truth. But there's some important information to bring you from the fire desk. That's just around the corner.
The James H. Reeve phone in on Key 103 with stepping stones into work. Don't let disability stop you working.
Floor Fillers Club Classics. The #1 album. 57 tracks on 3 CDs. 18 #1s. It's the only classics album you need. Floor Fillers Club Classics. Out now.
Jane, the freezer's broke down and it's full of food.
Get to Direct Discounts quick.
What if they haven't got any?
Don't be daft. Direct Discounts is a domestic appliance store. They do everything. Washing machines, dishwashers, tumble dryers, fridges, freezers, gas and electric cookers, built-in ovens, hobs, hoods and loads of those big range cookers. Even American fridge freezers. All on display at discount prices.
We need it now.
Phone them. They might deliver straight away free. Direct Discounts is next to MFI on Manchester Street, Oldham.
You know those annoying people who, when you buy something, they bought the exact same thing but for half the price? Well, be one of those annoying people with the Bensons for Beds half-price summer sale. They've got a huge choice of styles, from those trendy designer bedsteads to the latest in memory foam mattress technology, whatever that is. So, if you want to be annoying, you'd better get yourself down to the Bensons for Beds half-price summer sale. It's on now. Over 230 stores nationwide. If you're nearest, call 0808 144 0000.
Let's be honest. We know you didn't turn on Key 103 for the ads. Nobody likes hard sell interrupting their favourite music. So, Kia Motors aren't going to waste their time waffling on in marketing jargon to try and convince you that their £5,995 Picanto Zap is the best buy in its class. Instead, they've set up a website at kia.co.uk/zap, where you can see how it measures up against all its competitors and make your own mind up. So, relax and enjoy the rest of the show.
The James H. Reeve phone in on Key 103. Call now on 0161 288 0103.
And so, just before we go to Salford, let's go to the fire desk. And here's Jackie.
Just to let you know that the fire in Cheetham Hill,
Out.
Queen's Road. No, they're still working on it.
Okay.
But the road's expected to be closed for the next hour or so.
Right, Queen's Road between Cheetham Hill Road and going that way.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Right.
That's it.
Okay, right. Queen's Road in Cheetham Hill, going towards... Where does it finish up there? Going up that way, anyway, is closed. I suppose it goes up Crumpsall Way that way, doesn't it? Or anyway, you know where I mean. It's closed, so you'll have to find your way around it. There's been a lot of very encouraging response to Ringway. I see we've got some students of Anglo-Saxon farming techniques, if you take my meaning. Oh, that's very interesting. And other stuff, right? Also, I must answer that question which keeps coming round. I'll do that for you. But first, Janet in Salford. We must have you on, Janet. Janet.
Hello, James.
Hello.
How are you?
Better than nothing. What are you laughing at?
That's funny.
God's truth.
All right, won't laugh.
Hello. How can we help you? Are you one of those who thirst after knowledge?
Well, really, I'm thirsting after some of your knowledge, I think.
Well, let me fill you to the brim, then.
Oh, dear. Well, I know that you're very interested in the First World War.
Well.
Am I right?
Well, it's one of the fields of study in which I excel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my granddad, I sadly never knew because he was killed in the First World War. But I don't think it was the Battle of the Somme. Because he died in a place called Ypres.
Yeah.
Or, as my other granddad liked to call it, Wipers.
Yeah, they call it Wipers.
And I wondered if you'd know which battle that would be. He died right at the end of the war.
He did? Well, that would be between, if he died at Ypres...
Yeah.
It would have been between autumn 1917 and, obviously, November 1918.
I think it was in 1918, I think. I'm not absolutely certain, but he'd kind of gone all through the war, almost to the very end, and then he was killed. But isn't that the way, in that time?
Well, it happened to a few people. Yeah, Wilfred Owen, the poet, he was killed with, I think it was about a week before the end of the war.
Oh, dear, yeah.
Ypres was, it was more or less constant, but there were 3 principal battles of Ypres.
Right. That was Belgium, wasn't it?
It's in Belgium, yeah.
Right.
The Flemings call it Ypres, and the Walloons, the French-speaking Belgians, called it Ypres.
Yeah, which is what I was calling it.
Well, and of course the Tommies called it Wipers.
Yeah, they did. My other granddad, always called it Wipers.
What mob was he in? Because there are ways of finding this out, you know.
Pardon?
There are ways of finding out. In fact, sadly, if somebody was killed, then it's really, really easy to find out all about them because because they're buried and notes were made of it and everything.
My father took us to his grave.
Yeah.
When I was, before I was even teenage and I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it was really nice because an old lady, obviously an old Belgian lady, she came across and she said, I'll deliver flowers every week. And we thought, it's very nice of her, but doubt if she will. But, she did. For a long time, she took flowers to his grave every week.
Well, that's very, very nice. Let's keep it seasonal now. Let's keep it, factual and informative. Right? Don't get sentimental. Life goes on. We're British.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We even get over football, don't we?
Well, I think there's still a bit of dust to clear on that one. But anyway, listen.
Right.
Ypres. Fell briefly into German hands in 1914.
Right.
But the British took it back within a couple of days, and it stayed in British hands throughout. Now, there were various attempts to retake it, and there were a number of... there were 3 principal battles of Ypres. The first one was in the early August 1914. Then there was one a bit later, which was neither here nor there, and then the big one was in the one that everybody remembers, and which is usually referred to as Passchendaele.
Right.
That's the one where it all turned to mud, and it was purgatory.
Yeah.
And that was for a variety of things. That was to try and get the Channel ports off the Germans and what have you. But
well, I wondered if, his, oh, I'm sorry, you'll have to forgive me. I'm a bit numb-headed because I had a slight stroke, like the other chap that was on. And I do get a bit muddled. But
oh, it's all right. But you see, you've got an excuse. I haven't.
I'm not that bad, really.
But it does put me at a bit of a disadvantage.
Yeah, well, I do know that feeling. But anyway, his job, he was an engineer. Now, I think he may well have been in the Royal Engineers.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that gives any clue. I don't know.
Well, you can find all this out, you see, if there's a huge database.
Yeah.
If a relative was killed,
yeah,
then obviously they do all the paperwork, and,
right.
they do their best to find out where they're buried. If not, they know that they didn't turn up, so they know that person is missing, and then eventually presumed dead. So they do all the processing. That what is difficult, the hard part, is finding out what somebody did in any war if they survived. It's more difficult because they leave the whatever they were in and carry on.
Right.
So it's all forgotten then. So it's very, very difficult. But if somebody was killed, then it's really, really easy to find out what happened to them.
I'll have to look into that then.
Well, the Imperial War Museum now do. I think you can do it online. You can do, and there's also they've got it out on CD, but they've listed all the servicemen and women who were killed in the First World War, and you can get rough details on them.
Such a long time ago.
Well, it is. No, but listen, I'll tell you what happened about me Uncle Arthur, didn't I? My great Uncle Arthur.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Somebody said, if he was a prisoner of war, they'll have a record of his visit from the Red Cross. And they had.
Right.
They had in Geneva.
Oh, well, that's a help, isn't
from
it?
1918.
Great help.
So that was a help. But as I say, if he was killed, and just a word of warning, when I looked at it, I saw a couple with the same name as me, and a couple with my grandmother's maiden name.
Right.
And I thought, God, it never occurred to me. Obviously, if they were killed in 1916, 17, 18, I won't have been aware of it. So these could be relatives of mine.
And you didn't know.
That were killed. You know, obviously I knew my gran because she was still alive, but I wouldn't have known if she had a brother who was killed when he was a young man, when he was a kid. So that starts you off looking into all that. But anyway, that's
one
the
thing that
place
might
to start.
actually help me is that their name was Painter, but with a Y, not an I.
Painter.
Yeah.
Well, that's dead easy. I think they're all in alphabetical order. They've got a machine, and I think you can access it at the War Museum North.
Right. Okay.
In Trafford Park. I think you can access the same system there, and if you put in your surname, it gives you a list. Obviously, if your name's Smith, it's going to be a struggle.
Right.
But if you've got a comparatively unusual name...
I used to say to my mother, well, it's unusual, isn't it, to have the name spelt like that?
Yeah.
And she used to say, oh, I think it was your gran wanted to be a bit different.
Yeah, all right. Well, listen, this is getting schmaltzy, this now. So there, if you want to find out what happened to him...
Yeah.
You can find out all the people called Painter who were killed, and if you know what mob he was in, that's a big help. And if you think he was in the Royal Engineers, That's excellent. And then you can narrow it down. And then you can go to, like, their regimental museum.
Right.
And they might have more information about him.
Oh, I must
and so
try.
on and so
I
forth.
mean, I am
Make a
very
start.
interested.
Well, good.
Very.
Right. Now, let me get on now.
All right.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Right. Oh, no, we could see where that was heading, couldn't we? Right. That was Janet in Salford. Mosley. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? Anthony in Mosley. By the way, 0161 288 0103 to pursue knowledge relentlessly, if necessary, to the ends of the earth. Anthony's in Mosley. Aren't you, Anthony?
Yeah, I am, yeah.
Right, yeah, good. What are you going to sling into this?
Well, it's to do with the question, I don't know, about a quarter of an hour ago, about being sent to Coventry.
Aye. I think that was that one of Jackie's own? Was she ad-libbing a bit there, or was it one of the Hillmans? I can't remember.
It was one of the Hillmans.
Oh, right, okay.
I took it that it was a twofold thing with being sent to Coventry, that it was boycott came out of it in Coventry, and it was to do with the British Army being in Northern Ireland probably about 100 years ago, probably back end of the late 1800s, early 1900s, when they sent a major boycott over to manage, I don't know if it was Ireland or Wolf or someone like that, but his management skills wasn't very good, and it ended up that tools were down and there was a strike on the ramp.
No. It goes back long. I think it goes back to the time of the famine or before. Anyway, no. But,
sure?
Yeah, boycott. Boycott was I think he was Irish. And I don't think it was anything to do with British imperialism in Ireland. I think, or was he a land agent or something? But the expression boycott actually comes from Ireland. And it was someone that refused to deal with his shops and what have you. And honestly, that's absolutely true.
Is it?
Yeah. Honestly, you'll find that. I don't think it was associated with sort of British rule in Ireland. I think he was just a nasty piece of work anyway, this bloke. And the local people wouldn't buy his produce and what have you.
Well, that's quite good, because I read, I don't know if I did read or was told about that boycott, because of the problems what he caused in industrial, they actually sent him to Coventry.
Well, if that happened, I think it's a remarkable coincidence.
Yeah, I do now, yeah.
Yeah. But the Coventry business has been going on it's a very old, Harland and Wolff, you're talking about shipbuilding, so you're talking about in the last 150 years, aren't you? It predates that by a long time. And the boycott thing, I'm pretty sure, goes back to the 18th century.
Right.
Seriously.
No, that's good.
Yeah, I know you meant well. Oh, I tell you what, something. Somebody mentioned this to me during the World. Do you remember the World Cup, don't you?
2002 or somewhere like that, wasn't it?
Somebody said, we had the question.
Did Beckham get sent off?
Yeah, I think he did for lashing out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody said, as we did the other week, the Italians, the flag is red, white and green, but they play in blue.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer to that turned out to be the blue was the colour of the Italian royal family.
Right.
So that is apparently why they play in blue. There's Azzurri. Right? Somebody said, let me ask you the same thing. Why is orange the colour that Holland play in? Why do they play in orange? And why is it the colour that they all adopt, Because their flag's red, white and blue, I think, isn't it? Dutch flag.
I thought it was because of being a Protestant country and the Prince of Orange being Dutch.
Yes, it is. But why orange?
It's the House of Orange, isn't it?
It is. But this is an absolute and utter coincidence. A complete coincidence.
Is it?
Yeah, she's just come marching in. I don't know whether she's going to... Oh, no. Yeah. This is extraordinary. The Dutch royal family, after Napoleon was flirted, 1815, everyone, all these countries were given self-determination, and Belgium and Holland were formed out of the remains of what had been the Holy Roman Empire and all this sort of thing. So there was no such place as Holland before 1815.
Well, I want to ask you a question on that.
Well, hang on.
Right,
Well, go ask me the question then.
I've got a 6-year-old lad, and he keeps going to watch the World Cup.
Yeah.
It always comes up as the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And he said, why is it called Holland? I said, to be honest, I don't know.
Well, it's all complicated. The Netherlands is actually Holland, Belgium and Luxembourg. But it's all very complicated, because Deutsch originally meant Dutch, and Dutch meant Holland. But anyway, let's not get bogged down in that.
Okay.
But for our purposes, you see, Holland in German means hollow, and it was called that because it's low, it's below parts of it below sea level and all this sort of thing. So that's all complicated. Right. The bit about orange, though, complete and absolute coincidence. The bloke put in charge of Holland was William of, and there was this place, actually, a little sort of principality called Orange Nassau. And Orange is a town in France, which was where this family had the power base. And it's called Orange. Now, absolutely and entirely by coincidence, the fruit is called an orange. And the reason it's called an orange is it's from a Persian or Arabic word, Persian I think, naranj. It just so happens that there's this town called Orange as well. So, naranj is the Persian word for it. Naranj became an orange, which became an orange. So, so entirely by coincidence, this fruit has got the same name as this town. They're not connected in any way, except by that coincidence. So the colour orange became associated with the place Orange, and that's how it happened.
Well, how did it get linked in with the Protestant Church?
Because it was a Protestant country.
So it just got dragged into it.
Yeah, he called himself William of Orange, and 1688 he confirmed Protestant rule in Britain, and tried to, and then went over to Ireland. So
did he have a lunch back, didn't they?
What?
William of Orange.
Not as far as I'm aware, unless he was trying to smuggle oranges into the country.
No, I think he did.
Up the back of his jerkin.
I think he did. He fell off his arse, didn't he? And died.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, well, there we are then. Well, that serves him right. Apparently he didn't die, he just rocked himself to sleep.
No, I think he had I think he was in
Oh,
back.
Shut up! Right, so, never mind that. So that's the story. I can't even remember why you rang in, except I think it was probably to mislead me, wasn't it?
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Now, what nationality was St. Patrick?
Welsh.
Oh, no. The hell.
See, now that's the second Welsh-Irish person we've had on tonight. Thank you. That was, who was that? Anthony Mosley. That was preposterous. That was bordering on beyond belief. 1:45. Where are we going next? Dave in Withington. Can I just remind you, is anything still to do? 0161 288 0103. Fast and Furious. That's the principle. And what have I still got for you? What still remains is people are insisting that there was this comedy series with Charles Bronson in it. I'd like to see it. I'd love to see an episode of it. And also Dave in Swinton, his suggestion, which appears to be not without basis, that the American Civil War ended in Liverpool docks. Yeah. All right, it's stretching it a little bit, but he's not so far from the truth. All will be revealed in a moment. In the meantime, 0161 288 0103. If you've just joined us, this is Queries and Theories on Key 103 with moi,
The James H. Reeve phone-in on Key 103.
Boy, oh boy, is your tax going to go up?
With stepping stones into work, advice and support to help you back into work.
When you are the biggest, you don't need to shout. Like the Benson Beds half-price summer sale. They've got a huge choice of styles, from magnificent designer bedsteads to the latest in that amazing memory foam technology, and all at the most unbelievable prices. The Benson's for Beds half-price summer sale is now on. Over 230 stores nationwide. For your nearest, call 0808 144 0000.
Sarah's on a bus. The man next to her wants to chat.
I like your coat buttons. I collect buttons, red buttons, buttons from shirts, button mushrooms, buttons you press, belly buttons. There was button moon, butter. Sounds a bit like...
Clever Sarah. She's having a new Tic Tac tropical twist.
The Tic Tac tropical twist men have appeared and are carrying Sarah away. Oh, yes! They've even managed to button up the weirdo's mouth.
Try new Tic Tac tropical twist, full of refreshing little lifts.
Let's be honest. We know you didn't turn on Key 103 for the ads. Nobody likes hard sell interrupting their favorite music. So, Kia Motors aren't going to waste their time waffling on in marketing jargon to try and convince you that their £9,995 Serato Zap is the best buy in its class. Instead, they've set up a website at kia.co.uk/Zap, where you can see how it measures up against all its competitors and make your own mind up. So, relax and enjoy the rest of the show.
You know running's good. And raising money, well, that feels great. But running and raising money? Now that's amazing. Running 10 kilometres for Cancer Research UK is a fantastic way to fundraise for the UK's leading cancer charity. Whether you're running because somebody close to you has been touched by cancer, or you just want to run and raise money at a spectacular venue, entry couldn't be simpler. To join us at Tatton Park on the 24th of September, visit cancerresearchuk10.co.uk. The Cancer Research UK 10K. Together, we will beat cancer.
The James H. Reeve phone-in on Key 103. Call now on 0161 288 0103.
All right, I'll do it this way. Let's go to Dave in Withington. David!
Good evening, James.
Good evening, David. You're on Key 103.
Is it warm enough for you?
It's we're all right in here, because as you've probably heard on the news today, the amount of energy being used by the average hillman has it doubled since in the last 30 years?
Oh.
Therefore, we are in a fully air-conditioned building.
Lucky you.
So it's lovely. Are you sweating your cobblers off, mate?
Yeah, it is a bit steamy.
Touch of the Betties.
Yeah.
It's sleep downstairs. That's my advice. Have you noticed, in weather like this, late at night, it's gone cool downstairs, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But if you've got your loft insulated properly, as you go upstairs, you can feel it getting hotter as you go upstairs. Have you noticed that?
It's like a sauna in here.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Are you naked now?
Not at the moment, James.
Okay, fine.
There was a query before.
Yes.
Someone, I can't remember who asked it, about a show that involved puppets, witches.
Oh, aye, witches. Three witches sitting around a cauldron.
Well, I'm not sure if I've got this right, but I think...
Don't say Macbeth.
No.
Right.
I think it was a show called Terrorhawks, which was late 70s, early 80s.
Oh, of course it was, yes.
Now, that was definitely a puppet show. It definitely had witches in it, and it was a... I'm not sure if it was made by the same people who made Thunderbirds, because it was a bit later than Thunderbirds.
No, it was. It was Jerry Anderson.
Was it Jerry Anderson?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was the same thing, but it was definitely like along the same lines. But they used to fight, like, alien invasions and blah, blah, blah. And as I remember, the witches were the people who were in it every week as, like, the resident bad guys, or bad girls, I should say.
Yeah, now this is strange, because Terrorhawks was all about, like, flying saucers and things like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And yet, why would there be witches in it?
And the lead guy in it could be killed because he was a clone, I remember that, and, so they'd kill him off. The next week he'd be back again. You know what I mean? Because he was cloned. And as a kid, I didn't get that.
Right.
You know what I mean? How the hero could die, sort of thing, And I remember thinking that was quite weird at the time. But I remember one of the witches was definitely called Zelda. And it was pretty typical big warts, big hook nose, witch's hat. But they were actually aliens. Now, whether that's the same as what this person was thinking of who asked you before.
I remember Terrorhawks. I wasn't I wasn't young enough to take a childlike interest in it,
No.
merely an academic one. But
only just not young enough, James. Obviously.
Oh, obviously, yeah. But I'm yeah.
So
it sort of rings a bell. But Jerry Anderson tried to do, after Terrorhawks, he tried to do another series about, probably only about, I would say, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
With, what was that called? That was...
Was it Puppets, or like, because he did do live action as well, didn't he?
Yeah, it was Puppets. And I can't remember the word. Does the word violet or purple comes to mind somehow? But anyway, Terrorhawks sounds quite like it to me, mate. I shall check. I shall check, because we do use Google here, but fleetingly. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there are some things it can't tackle, but when
there are some things it's not going to be able to tell you much, is it, James?
It's well, no, there is that. I mean, that's my other job, is writing for Google, filling it up with stuff. But sometimes, if you've not got a place to start, you've got to rely on that extraordinary device, the human brain.
Yeah.
And then when you come up with something like that, then you can confirm it. But Terrorhawks does sound like it to me, yeah.
Did you happen to see, changing the subject, did you happen to see the documentary on the BBC last night about the Battle of the Somme?
But of course, the 2nd Salford Pals, the 16th Battalion Lancashire Fusiliers.
I found it very interesting.
Yeah.
Especially the bit about the introduction of the tank.
Ah.
Was that the first use of a tank by the British Army?
Oh, you're playing right into my hands now. Oh, this is specialist subject. Specialist subject, mate. Not the first use, no.
They were making out the Germans were, like, completely shocked and didn't know what the machine was at all. You know, what was this machine that they were seeing?
Right.
So was that embellishing the truth somewhat?
I was watching that here in the white heat of the newsroom.
Yeah.
So I would have to see it again to swat up on that. But the first use of tanks was at 6:45 a.m. on the, let me get this right, the 15th of September 1916.
Right.
Okay. So that was
by the British Army, was it?
Yeah, the tank Mark 1, and about 49 of them actually managed to get into action. Well, about 49 of them managed to get there, and I think in the event only about 16 actually managed to achieve anything. But
right. Well, they were expecting 2 to turn up last night, and only 1 did because 1 had broke down or something. Yeah.
Well, that was. I would like to have another look at it. I did briefly see. They just showed like a mock-up of a tank, didn't they? Which to me,
they showed you it crushing an old car in tests and things like that.
Oh, that was actually contemporary film.
That was right. Wasn't it?
Yeah, but in the reconstruction, they actually had. They had like a mock-up of a tank, and they just saw it very briefly, and it looked to me like a pretty bad replica, to be honest. But as I say, I would have to see it again in more detail.
Right, yeah.
First use of tanks was the 15th of September 1916. Obviously, the Battle of the Somme began on the 1st of July, and Thiep Val was taken. Now, I would have to go back and look at the when it was taken by the Middlesex Regiment, but that would have to be after the 15th of September. Now,
it's just pure hell, wasn't it?
Well, clearly. But as regards, I mean, there's a lot of debate as to whether, I mean, you hear stories about the Germans running away in their thousands at the very appearance of a tank. That didn't happen, I'm afraid.
No.
Towards the end of the war, soldiers of all sides ran away when they saw a tank because they knew they meant business. But
when did the Germans first develop theirs?
The Germans first used theirs in March 1918. They used a lot of captured British ones. They built 20 of their own. But the French built more than everybody else put together.
Really?
And the French, the first tanks that used in action were French, but were British rather. But the French were, you could almost perhaps say, slightly ahead of the British. They came up with a worse tank, but they started experimenting around about the same time. It's just that the British the French didn't want the British to use them because they thought they'd give the game away, and that probably was the case.
Right.
But in fact, in some ways, it worked to the Allies' advantage because the first tanks were very poor, so the Germans didn't rate them very much. So when we produced better ones, they were a bit surprised by that. Anyway, there's lots and lots of books on this
I found it very
subject.
interesting that last night. Anyway, so for the BBC, that's quite a rare thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, there was something on Channel 5.
Was that on Saturday? I didn't see that
on
one.
Saturday.
I was psyching myself up for the England game, you know. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So I didn't see that one, unfortunately. I wish I had. But
what they did there, they did a number of things there. And I talked about this last night, and somebody will be saying, "Oh, he's talking about this again," but I don't care because it's interesting. What they did with this, they did a couple of things. They got the film. There is a film called The Battle of the Somme, which was mostly shot in 1916, but a lot of it was mocked up.
Yeah.
And in fact, most of the stuff, whenever you see documentaries about the Great War, most of it is mocked up. In fact, almost all of it is mocked up.
I often wondered that.
Well, or it's training films or films shot behind the lines and all this sort of thing.
Yeah.
The reason being that to get proper combat film, you would have to stand up with a big box on a tripod turning a handle.
Yeah,
and this was not, I think there was something health and safety about it.
Yeah.
So shot of actual fighting is really extremely rare. Anyway, they went through all this, and they did a number of things. They got 2 American blokes, one of whom was one was still in the Canadian Army, and one was ex-Canadian Army, and they went to the place where the Newfoundland Regiment was virtually wiped out.
Right.
And they did a bit of tracing, and one of them found his relative, and this bloke was a big geezer. A big soldier, and he was crying like a baby.
Yeah.
They found, if you've ever seen a film it comes up time and time and time again, of a big bloke coming down a trench carrying a wounded bloke over his shoulders. You're forever seeing it in...
it's like stock footage, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, this family in Stoke-on-Trent reckoned that this was a relative of theirs.
Yeah.
And they'd got a picture, and he'd got a medal for rescuing somebody from drowning in civilian life, this bloke. And they said, oh, this is him, and here's the picture of him in the film, and that's as he was, and those are his medals and all the rest of it. Yeah. So they got onto this, and they had a face comparison expert from the Home Office and all this, and they measured up his physical features and all this, and then they had a look at his army records, and it wasn't him.
Oh.
And they'd believed it since like 1916 that this was him. So they didn't. Yeah, it was a bit embarrassing that, and it didn't show them going back and telling the family. It
sounds a good show, though. I heard you last night when you were saying they were lip reading, what people were saying. 'Cause you do think that, don't you, when you're watching these old films?
That was the bit that was absolutely. That was like reaching through a hole into the past.
Yeah.
Because it's all silent
this genuine film, and you think, what was that guy thinking at this point? You know what I mean? Yeah. I'd like to have seen it. I'd like to have seen that. Yeah.
I don't know. You might be able to get it on DVD. You certainly can get the BBC one on DVD. I don't know whether you can get this channel.
Well, that was good as well last night. The Sofa Pals. It brings it home when you were saying, like you're saying, 17, 18-year-olds nowadays. That's what they'd be doing if that was 90 years ago.
Yeah.
That brings it home, really, doesn't it?
Some would say it wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing.
Well, maybe not, no. But, I mean, it was, terrible thing to live through.
So listen, what I'll do, I'll be doing this anyway, because I'm writing something for a bloke. First use of tanks, 15th of September, 1916.
I had a feeling you'd know that, James.
Yeah. Now, when Thiepval was taken by the Middlesex Regiment, I can't remember, but I will
I think it was.
look into
I think they mentioned it last night. I think it was September, wasn't it?
Well, it would have to be after the 15th.
Yeah.
But this, I mean, the word was that the Germans had heard. The Germans were issuing special ammunition, so there was a strong suspicion that the Germans knew there was something going on, and there were reports of the Germans reporting armoured cars knocking about.
Right. Yeah.
And also, of course, one of the big problems was that these things were the Mark 1s were very, very unreliable, and on the first time they were used, one of them broke down behind German lines, and the Germans, it broke down, and the Germans then recaptured the land, and they captured the bloody tank, and made drawings of it and everything, sent them back to Berlin. But because it was a bad one, it actually helped in the long run, because the Germans said, oh, this is rubbish, and its armour's no good, and all the rest of it. So when they produced a better one, it really did take them by surprise that time. Anyway, it's a long story, and I'm going to write a book on it.
Thank you very much, James.
My pleasure, my pleasure. You're a gentleman, sir, every inch above your hat. That's Pete in Withington. Right, time for some more